Congress leader Abhishek Manu Singhvi has questioned the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights over its notice to the Aam Aadmi Party. Singhvi tweeted and asked if NCPCR has better things to do than challenge the government's mentorship program for children. Targeting NCPCR as BJP's 24/7 political machine, Singhvi blamed NCPCR for tilting at windmills on imaginary apprehensions. Those were his words tweeted out by Abhishek Manu Singhvi.
That is something which has come from Abhishek Manu Singhvi. We have seen him as a lawyer, and he has pointed out to the nitty-gritties which are being pointed out by the NCPCR, and again has slammed the BJP and also the NCPCR for the vague reasons that have been put here by the NCPCR. Day before yesterday, we saw the NCPCR chief sending a notice to Delhi government over the program of Desh Ke Mentors, saying the police verification for anyone coming in touch and having a conversation in school and school-related programs is mandatory. Yesterday, we saw Atishi Marlena's interview in which she defended the decision, saying the Anganwadis and other people, they don't have the police verifications. So that is something which has been again cited as an issue, and second letter and second notice has been given to the Delhi government. The chief secretary has been sent this notice from NCPCR, and in that notice, the exact text of Atishi's interview to Mirror Now has been quoted, and there it has been said that you need to highlight as to what is the process of police verification, what is the development that has taken so far, and 7 days have been given to the Delhi government for responding to PCR.
So as we can in fact see that the row between NCPCR and the Aam Aadmi Party is only escalating. Now even a senior Congress leader has weighed in on the matter, essentially calling NCPCR BJP's political machine. In fact, that is also something we can see that the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, a senior Aam Aadmi Party leader himself, has in fact alleged yesterday that there is a political agenda behind the way NCPCR is in fact being used. I am joined on the broadcast by Mr. Raman, Malik, BJP spokesperson. Mr. Malik, we've seen the Aam Aadmi Party and the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister, to be specific, doing so yesterday. And even today, Congress's Abhishek Manu Singhvi has in fact called NCPCR BJP's 24/7 political machine. What's your first reaction to that?
I think they all live in the paradise of their own presumption. The way they had governed and the way they have been governing, let's say whether it is Maharashtra, whether it is Punjab, whether it is Rajasthan or Chhattisgarh, the government machineries are being used for whims and fancies of the leaders. They do not work under the government rule books the way they should be. A lot of things are ignored if they're from a specific community, but they target a lot of other people the way things have happened in the past. Coming to Aam Aadmi Party, they are also an offshoot of the old colonial family Raj system of the Congress. They are nothing different. Now, the whole point is that if NCPCR has given a directive or they have given some suggestion, if the program is such that you think that it will be benefiting the children and you can have extra protection for the children, what is the harm? My question yesterday to you also was, through you to other political outfits and those people who are opposing it, is simple. That if these guidelines are adhered to, the program becomes much more beneficial without possibilities, or let's say the reduction in possibilities of possible, problem for the children. Now, if you can negate and if you can put in all efforts to negate abuse of children, then I do not think there is any harm. But problem is that you want to make this an ego issue. Please do not make it an ego issue. Let's have the children protected from possible assaults, from possible, the children being used for various purposes. And, the fact of the matter remains that children are children, whether it is mine or anybody else's. Now, if there is an extra layer of protection, would
Right.
help the children on not getting abused by any way, then there's no harm.
Mr. Malik,
I do
I have heard
understand.
your point. Mr. Malik, I've heard your point. Let me just interject over here. But the point is, of course, it's an extra layer of precaution and maybe, not, it's never enough to be safe. But the point being that Aam Aadmi Party, on the other hand, has in fact been saying it's not like they have not done any verifications at all. They're saying that the details are in public domain, that they do their own checks as well. So these are certain valid points that they have put out as well.
So let's understand a BJP, a Aam Aadmi Party, Congress. Do you think they are more competent to do verification checks than the security apparatus like the police or other bodies? Number one. Number two, yesterday also you were saying that the school teachers and others have been given as an example. And I said yesterday also, and I'm saying it today also, that their entire back chain, whether it is their Aadhars, whether it is their physical residential addresses, whether it is their past, whether their financial details, they are all with the government as a chain of proof. Now, the whole point is you are comparing a person who is from the public to a government officer. The teacher is also a government teacher, is a government officer. A school employee is a government officer. Now, a government officer has a background check and there are proper scrutiny of it. Now, the same cannot be said about these mentors. The mentors have to have a check and balance, and if there's an additional, you've done very good. You had done checks and balances of various MLAs and MPs and given a call that they are the best possible and they would not do corruption, and yet you had to pull them out of your government for corruption. Or for that matter,
Right.
like the Aam Aadmi Party, they had certain checks and balances, right? And they had their mentors and their forming party members like Kumar Vishwas, like Jogendra Yadav, like others, Prashant Bhushan
Right,
and
right.
all. Now they pulled them out of the party. Why? If they had done all checks and balances, they should not have pulled them out.
Right, Mr. Raman, Malik, thank you so much for joining us with that. I'm also joined on the broadcast by Ms. Deepak Kumar, educationalist. I just want to ask you, ma'am, that this entire thing, of course, has become a political war of words, as always, when it comes to a political party. But we are looking at this mentorship program in general. This is a novel idea which has come out from the Aam Aadmi Party. Of course, we are not deciding on whether there are loopholes in the system or not which need to be checked. But the point being that in the middle of all this, children unfortunately are becoming political pawns, whereas maybe a mentorship program like this could help them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I won't rule out the apprehensions which Mr. Malik has, but we have to understand this is about children and their future. This is about the future of this country. And children need all the time guidance and counseling and mentoring. And I think what this party, I'm not going to name any party. For me as an educationist, it's the program which has been designed for children. It may have some loopholes, but then, as I said even yesterday, that let's sit across the table and put some solutions together, but not blame each other, because I think there's a beauty in this program. I don't belong to any party. I'm just an Indian citizen and an educationist. And I want children to be guided. It's a very important part of learning for children, because if there is a mentor, and then to doubt so many people whom they have selected, if they have a question with some specific personality, they can always take it to their office saying that we have a doubt on this person. And I'm sure any of the representatives from that program can always look into it. I don't think we can just jeopardize the whole program, because it is going to help children in future. The problem is because parents alone or neighbors or relatives necessarily are not able to help children all the time. And this is a time when the country is going through such a lot of turmoil. because of the COVID. Everywhere there is so much of uncertainty. And if somebody is trying to do something good, and believe me, I believe all the governments are beautiful. I believe all the governments want to do good. I believe that there is good in everything. Why do we look at the negative part of everything? If we find, let's sit across and have a word together and find solutions, because children are the future of this nation. We cannot have them go wasted, because they are the ones who are going to take on from us in times to come.
Right. Ms. Deepak Kumar there. Very valid points there. Thank you so much for joining us on this discussion. So essentially, a mentorship program which can actually help out children, but unfortunately these questions being raised and also maybe valid points being raised, and there should be a thorough checking process before these mentors are taken onto that program. But sometimes, as we can see even in this particular case, most likely that children are getting caught in between this political war of words.